So, a quick little note about the Volantex. This is actually one that's branded Rage RC. Comes in the ready to fly package, the 400mm Warbird. So, I already had this XK or YK, whatever one it is, P51, and there's a place to put on that receiver a DSM. As you can see, let me see if I can get a pointer. Right there, and it's actually in the manual listed as a DSMX or whatever, and then the next one over is actually S-Bus. It's hard to show people things when you're doing this by yourself. So I have been flying this quite a bit. I got a buddy, we both got one at the same time, and I actually fried my board in one of these processes. There it is. So if you can see next to that servo right here, that is the DSMX controller, and this is like the S-Bus or whatever. I don't know what that one is exactly, but this is the one I use. So I noticed one of my receivers that I had, hang on, let me grab it. So this receiver is a DSM2. Sorry, it's not DSMX only, it's DSM2 or DSMX 2.4G receiver. I got this one, and when I got it, it had this little satellite attached, way above my level of what I was understanding in our airplane RC at the time. Anywho, I noticed that that red tail had that output on it, so I plugged it in. What I had to do, explanation, I had that hooked up to the port. The satellite was hooked in this port. I bind it to my Spektrum radio on a channel. Got a picture of the red bird there, and boom, I was able to fly it, no problem. I got to set up dual rates, everything you love about having a good radio, I was able to do. So all right, this is no longer used. I can use this on something else even. Just the satellite's in there. It's a big enough bird could handle it. So I decided, I looked inside this. This is the new birds. This is a new Rage RC version of these birds, and there's Eachine and Rage RC, and there's all kinds of stuff going on with that in reference to that stuff. But if you look inside of here, you can see the same two plugs. There you go. The same two plugs are available. So I didn't have a second one of those receivers. I actually did have one. Well, a buddy gave me one. He said, here, you can have this one, but the throttle channel's broken. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. The throttle channel's broken. No big deal. I just want the satellite anyway, right? Well, I plugged it into that one because I was going to give it to a buddy who has the same bird, like I mentioned. And when I connected it, it connected and binded and everything up. I hooked it up to this bird, and it burned out the board. So there was something wrong with the throttle. So I'm not going to try that one anymore. So needless to say, I need to buy another satellite. I'm really trying to see if there's even smaller ones, because this is going to be a super tight fit to get in this little bird. Especially if I have to stick it way back here in the back or something. Maybe cut out foam. But I really would like to use this on my Spektrum radio. So it's going to be important to me right now, and I'm excited that it works. So anywho, you saw how I just showed you. I had that connected to that board. This is the same one that I just took out the Redbird, so I'm not going to create another profile because I'm ultimately going to plug this. There we go. It's a good view right there. I'm ultimately going to plug this back into the red tail P51, which is a like 560mm. But you see that? I'm just turning it so you can get a good angle of it. But yeah, so now I just bound this thing to its receiver, its own radio, and it worked fine. So then I got this on. And of course, I got the red tail up there because that's where I had this receiver bound to. I'm gonna go ahead and plug him up. It's making self movements like it's working. Okay, it's doing weird stuff, which with the DSMX receivers, it does that with this one too. So it did something weird in the beginning, but now everything's leveled out. So now, boom, I'm controlling it with my Spektrum radio. I know people out there want to know this, and there's not much info about it. You know, like, okay, this is backwards, obviously, but I mean, that's a quick fix. I gotta, you know, bind it on its own. This is correct for that bird, so I'm gonna leave it like it is and put this receiver ultimately back in there. But when I get another one, hopefully I can find like a Lemon RC or something that's smaller, and then, man, this is gonna be so awesome to have on my Spektrum radio. I do have one of those Radio Masters, and it can do it on the profile. But man, I can just tell you, I've had absolutely no love with the Radio Master stuff. It's great that it can work on these kind of protocols and stuff, and a whole lot of stuff, and it can go further away and all of this. But man, this just is so simple to use for somebody beginning. If you're a genius at this stuff and you're used to doing it, this is probably great for you. Not for me. I can do it, but it's a fight, and I'm like never sure if it's right, and then it's barely working right. I don't know. I don't know what my deal is. Maybe I'll get better over time, but for right now, just excited to say that this works. And right now it's in stabilized mode, and I haven't even done any of the setting up stuff, which I ultimately need to do. Let's see if the throttle cut works. The throttle cut works because I have it set up for the other bird. Let's see. This is the switch I use for the stabilization. So, all right, still doing some and none. So it works exactly the same channels as the other bird. So that's all I wanted to kind of put out there, that this can be done. You can do it. Excuse my busy workbench. I got a lot of things going on at once, and busy work days, late days, and all that stuff. So just wanted to get this out to you guys so you can know that these birds can be flown on your Spektrum radio with just a receiver added, and you can enjoy a bird much better, more stability, because this thing flies terrible with the factory toy remote. With the Spektrum, I can just leave it off. There's no, you don't even have to be on the save mode. You can fly this thing and do loops, rolls, everything you want to do, and just fly it normally without worrying about always having to be on safe. And the push button safe on this is horrible, so it's like you always think you're going to crash when you were clicking it anyway. Once I put it on this and I can really do rate and expo it, awesome. I'm considering this is going to be the same way, because it's got a super touchy elevator on the stock trans. Should be great for now.